Luke chapter 5, verse 1 starts off with one day. It's hard, Joe. It's hard preaching the word when I read two words and it comes alive. One day. I love this because some of you are going to relate to this real quick. One day you were driving down the road and then your car decides to stop on you. One day you were teaching a bunch of interns and all of a sudden out pops Josiah. And that's if you ever heard the birth of Josiah. We were literally about to teach a class and then he decided just to literally pop out in our den. One day you're at school, you're at CMA, you just casually chose to stay that day. That one day that you chose to stay, water comes inside the house and you're having to carry all the students from one house to another. Just one day, just naturally going. One day, Amanda just went to work and invited a friend and that friend's life has radically changed. One day, Lizzie just went into a job employment setting to get a job and she was talked into getting another job at a church and radically her whole life was changed. One day, Alice just went to the park and ran into another young mom and now the whole life is changed. One day, a boy asked a girl out on a date, and then now the church is birthed years later because one boy decided to invite one girl to church. One day, Bree left California, and the next thing she's on an avenue to bless somebody with a car. You just read it in passing. One day. One day, Luke chapter 5, verse 1. One day, as Jesus was preaching on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, great crowds pressed on him to listen to the word of the Lord. He noticed two empty boats at the water's edge, for the fishermen had left them and were washing their nets. Stepping into one of the boats, Jesus asked Simon, its owner, to push it out into the water. So he sat in the boat and taught the crowds from there. You always got to marry the Gospels because they all kind of give a different understanding. Matthew does a great job. Mark does a great job. And what they do is they say how Jesus is walking and he sees a man named Simon Peter and he calls out to Simon Peter, hey, come, I'm going to make you a fisher of men. But Luke goes into a little bit more detail. Luke is a friend that you want to have around when you want the extra details. See, you just want the point. Yes, Jesus called out to Peter. But if you want to know the scenario of what happened, what were people wearing? What was the day like? You see, this is a mom asked her kids, how was camp? It was good. No, tell me, what did it smell like? So Luke does a phenomenal job of just really unpacking everything that's happening here. And he's saying that Jesus went on and Jesus is walking to the shore of Sea of Galilee and he's pressed on by people and people, Angie, they want to hear, happy birthday tomorrow, by the way. Okay, so Jesus is recognizing that people are wanting to hear the voice of the Lord, and he sees an opportunity. He sees two boats, and he goes out and he chooses one boat to stand on, one of these boats, and he asks Simon Peter, its owner. Jesus noticed two boats. It's not a math question. And the fishermen had left the boats because they were done for the day. They were not done because they worked hard and received a good benefit. They were done because they worked hard and got nothing. Wow. Am I preaching to anybody in the room where you work hard and you slave only to have a bunch of dishes still? Where you do tons of laundry and you feel like you've conquered everything because you did every load and you're putting the hamper back in your kid's room to only realize there is a pile of clothes? Where did it come from? I have no idea. It's been one day. Defeated from all the cooking, all the cleaning, all the wiping, all the pepping and the prepping, working a long, hard day at work, and then you come in and you see grass needing to be cut. You hear your spouse tell you, oh, the thing is leaking or the toilet's not flushing anymore. And I just slaved at work and just feeling drained and defeated because for 40 hours you spend at work and your boss comes in and says, you need to work harder. You go home and your spouse then says a loving line of I just need you to do more. And you're just, am I speaking to anybody in the room? Come on, I'm just saying I'm a pastor and she loves Jesus and I love Jesus, but sometimes we say things that are just wrong. At the wrong timing. Maybe it's right and it's just the wrong timing. Yeah. Defeated. Slowly feeling like you just got nothing left to give. This is where the fishermen were. The Bible says they fished all night and they're done and they're washing their nets. And here comes this boy, Jesus. And he sees a boat. And he decides to step into one man's boat. And I believe Jesus already knew exactly what he was going to bless Peter with. I believe Jesus already knew he was going to call onto Peter, but he needed to know that Peter was willing to let go. See, he already had the plan, the desire for Peter, but Peter had to be the one to say, yes, I'm willing to lay it all down. Jesus already knows the plan, the desires he has for your family, your direction of where you're going to go. You just have to say yes to him. You just have to come to a place to lay down your agenda and your position. With Jesus, it's always a producing of a wow factor. It's never just a little bit. Jesus is a big go big or go home kind of person. Like I really love when I read scripture of how he just interacts in life. Just think about your life. I already ran through some of your timelines, and then Jesus steps into your boat, into your life. This is his life. The boat was his life. So when you read the illustration of Jesus going into his boat, you can marry that with him going into your life. And everything radically changed. Watch this. Verse 3, Luke chapter 5, verse 3. Stepping into one of the boats, Jesus asked Simon. I like that because, we stand at the door and knock. He's a gentleman. And you gotta understand, Jesus is a gentleman, but he's also aggressive. Jesus will stand at the door and he won't force himself on you, but he'll also force himself to attack those who are attacking you. He will position himself with the armor that he needs to kill sin, but he'll also stand there and willingly wait for you to say yes to him. Jesus is a gentle man, but he is gentle, controlled strength to break through the barriers of your life to set you free. We need to redefine the word gentleman because he is gentle, but he has controlled strength that could take down any lion that comes his way. Woo! Stepping into one man's boat, Jesus asked Simon, Jesus with the full authority to call down angels, Jesus who had the ability to ascend, which means he had the ability to fly, Jesus who was able to appear in one moment and then to disappear in another moment, Jesus who would go into a crowd and all of a sudden you wouldn't see him anymore, Jesus who had the full ability to take a donkey and claim it as his own, Jesus decides to ask, can I get into your boat? Jesus with the full authority, Jesus with a huge following, Jesus asked Simon, its owner, Jesus came into your life, the owner of your life, and said, would you be willing to take this boat out there again? Would you be willing to be a mom again after you've slaved and you got nothing for it? Would you be willing to go back out there the next morning and keep being a mom? Would you be willing after your work put you on leave for a whole week and I mean you're fully energized? Would you be willing to go back with a smile on your face, ready to serve and engage? I know you had a rough week at work and your boss is just and then you go home and your spouse says something that is just like blah. But would you be willing as the owner to push just a little bit deeper? So he sat in the boat and he taught the crowds. The only way, break this a little bit for you, the only way that Jesus was able to preach to the masses was because one man said, yes, come on. Wow. That should preach itself right there. Jesus, willing to be able to do in any direction, chooses a vessel, and that person, because he said yes, the gospel and the good news was able to stretch out deep into the hearts of other people because he was willing to work harder when he was already tired. Jesus will never force himself into salvation. Jesus will never force himself into your life to force you to be saved. Authentic salvation is salvation where you count the cost and willingly choose to say yes to Jesus. Authentic salvation is you being Peter, where you are tired and you don't want to do it, but you say, you know what, Father, if you are calling me to keep going, then I'll keep going. If you're calling me to keep my head up, to keep looking for work, I'll keep looking for it. If you're calling me to continue to be the mom or continue to be married, then this is the direction I'm going. I'm willing, feeling defeated, feeling depleted. If you're telling me that I should go back out there, that's what Peter does. He goes back out there. As a believer, you are called. You are called to be the salt and the light. He's worked a fool's day work. He had no energy. He had no emotional excitement. He had no drive. Does that sound a little familiar? I mean, I know you love your spouse and you love your work and you love the paycheck and you love your kids and you love your house, but some days you just wake up and you're done. Sometimes you just wake up and you're defeated. Sometimes you have no energy left. Sometimes there's no emotional excitement. And that's where he encounters Jesus. Jesus placed his spirit inside of you and asks a solid question to every believer. And the question is, if you love me, obey my commands. Many of you read this as a statement. Some of you will argue with me, no, it's not a question, it's a statement. But if you understand Jesus, Jesus says things all sorts of different ways. He says a statement, but he means it as a question. He says a question, but really he means it as a statement. You'll ask a question, and he'll answer with another question. You'll say a statement, and he'll answer with a question. It's really confusing sometimes, Jesus. But the reality is, the way I read this, it's not if you love me, it's do you love me? And as a result of you loving me, you obey my commands. I marry this with John chapter 21, where Jesus asks Peter 3 times, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And he says, do you love me? Well, then go. Do you love me? Well, then go. Do you love me? Well, then go. Because love positions somebody in a place to be obedient or to be committed. And so I believe when he asks us the question, if you love me, do you love me? Are you willing to obey my commands? Luke chapter 5, verse 4. When he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, also known as Peter, now go out where it's deeper and let down your nets to catch some fish. Master, Simon replied, we worked hard last night and didn't catch a thing. But if you say so, I'll let the nets down again. For those of you taking notes, welcome to the middle of my sermon. The title of my message is, If You Say So. The phrasing, if you say so. Stephanie, this is what people say. If you say so. We were asked, how do you manage all that you have and 7 kids and do... And she'll respond with, just the power of Jesus. Okay, if you say so. How do you have the amount of properties and have finances game roll? Well, we just spend less than what we make. Oh, if you say so. How do you stay away from the bottle and away from pornography and away from some grass? How do you stay committed to Jesus? Well, I follow and I read his word every day, and it just empowers me. Okay, if you say so, yeah. Can I preach real fast? Many are in church this morning struggling with spending, struggling with their marriage, struggling with how to parent, struggling with anxiety and depression. And we do a phenomenal job, Raymond. We've just been trained to walk into a church building or a church home or with a bunch of believers, and we know how, Amanda, to put on face. We know how just to dress the right way, talk the right way, put our fancy curls in our hair, get our glasses on just right, stand just right, to where when people look at us, they think that everything is peachy. We've learned how to mask our face on social media to make ourselves look like an avatar because we don't want people to see deep into our souls of what's really happening. And then when it comes down to it, there's depression, there's anxiety, and you're crying yourself to sleep at night because you feel like you're just depleted and you feel like you're just alone and you feel like you're defeated and you have nothing left. And there at 2 o'clock in the morning, when it's just you alone, you're crying out to Jesus, but he feels just so far away. Am I speaking to anybody where you just are just done and you're trying to hold on for anything that you have left, but you just can't seem to get it? Here, they sit under the powerful word of the Lord. People sit under the powerful word of the Lord and they dismiss the calling Jesus has because they worked hard and it didn't work. Peter worked hard and it didn't work. You ever work really hard, Christian, and you feel like it doesn't work? Working really hard to build a structure with popsicle sticks or Legos only to find out that it crumbles down. Working really hard to save a good dime to then have a medical issue and to realize that now you are 10 times more in debt than you were before. Work hard for a good car and then all of a sudden car is demolished and then now you're just like all that hard work. Yeah, y'all, I'm reading the Bible. Peter worked hard, and he was tired, and he was done. And in the moment that he was done, Jesus locks eyes and says, go a little deeper. Wow. Well, I don't want to go deeper. That's the wrong direction. I am tired. I am done. I don't want to do it again. I just told you, I am tired, I'm depleted, I'm defeated, I haven't caught anything, and I've worked all hard, and you're telling me to go do it again and go deeper, which means that my return is going to be a lot longer. See, Pastor G, you don't understand my past. Pastor G, you don't understand my marriage dynamic. I love counseling people and hearing all sorts of different phrases. You don't understand my background and where I came through. You don't understand my demographic. You don't understand my geographic. You don't understand. They start throwing out all these graphics. I'm not in math. I don't look at a graph of your life. I'm looking at Jesus and the projection where Jesus takes somebody. You don't understand. I've been diagnosed. Yeah, I took the 5-minute quiz and I was diagnosed too. I got you. I'm there with you. You don't understand. Let me stop you just real quick right there. I'm glad you came to church this morning. Yeah. Okay. But I'm here to tell you, maybe you don't understand. all the excuses. Guillermo, you don't understand. Guillermo, you don't understand. Pastor, you don't understand. Church, you don't understand. Jesus, you don't understand. Let me tell you something real quick. Maybe you don't understand. Maybe you've been pursuing and driving your boat your direction with your ability, and that's the problem. Because Peter was out there in all of his strength and all of his ability, and he caught nothing. And Jesus locks eyes with him and tells him to go a little deeper. Watch the baby step approach that many Christians like to do. Welcome to Christian Ministries Church, by the way. Baby steps. This is what I read all the time. Baby steps, baby steps. This is what I hear. Baby steps, just new believers, baby steps. I want to highlight what baby steps looks like. Baby steps. New believer, baby steps. Just read at least one Bible verse like a week. That's baby steps. Just read just a little bit of, just try. I know it's 52 out of 365 days, 52 Sundays out of 365 Sundays. Don't even try to do 52 Sundays. Just try to do 12 Sundays. Baby steps. Baby steps. Just try to limit your pornography watching to at least once a day. Baby steps. Y'all hear me? Just try to limit the amount of grass to maybe like one leaf, half the joint, instead of the full thing, at least once every other day. Baby steps. Just try to limit how much. Jesus, baby steps is, I know your method didn't work, so go deeper. So see, I love our American culture of baby steps. Just try a little. You can't commit to 52 Sundays out of 365 days. That's cool. You can't get to church on time. Baby steps, you at least showed up. Jesus says, no, go deeper. I know you're tired. Go deeper. I should have entitled this to Go Deeper. Go deeper. I love this. This is the Sea of Galilee, and you got to understand, sometimes we don't recognize this because we don't have the life of Peter, but this is the same sea where he walks on water. Go deeper. He can't lead him deeper somewhere if he's not willing to go. He'll never have walked on water. See, are you willing to go deeper? Because eventually in your life, I'm going to take you somewhere that you never thought you were going to be. But if you're not willing to go deeper right now, you'll never be able to go deeper then. See, I'm praying for a spouse, but I'm not willing to go deep now. I'm praying for a breakthrough, but I'm not willing to go deep now. I'm praying for a whole life transformation, but I don't know if I could go with a bunch of Christians who are all acting better. Go deeper. It's only when you go deeper with Jesus that you reap the greatest return. Jesus said, go deeper. And Peter could have said whatever excuse many of you have said to pastors and preachers. I've already tried it. Guillermo, I've already tried that in my marriage. Guillermo, I've already tried that with my finances. Guillermo, I already tried to do that instead of taking this pill. Guillermo, I've already tried all those things. I've already tried to eat healthy. I've already tried to lose weight. I've already tried to save money. I've already tried to strengthen my marriage. I want to welcome you just real fast to Christian Ministries Church. Because sometimes, Lizzie, I'm just stuck. Because there are hundreds of thousands of churches between where you live, maybe not hundreds of thousands, I'm exaggerating, okay? But where we are. And so you came this morning, and I just want you to know I'm a pastor. I'm not a pushover. And Jesus is either Lord of all or he's not Lord at all. Amen. So when I preach a word, I am expecting it to probably be the last word that I share with you forever. So when I come up here, my heart, Amanda, is I'm probably never going to see Bree ever again. So I hope that I would do, but what is the word that the Lord wants to speak into your life? The Lord is Lord of all, or he is not Lord at all. And I know that might not fill the seats, but I'm committing myself to seeing captives set free. That's so good. Your anxiety needs to go. The excuses need to have transformation. As Romans chapter 12 talks about, your worldview needs to be confronted with his word. Jesus stepped into Peter's boat. Jesus steps into your life, and I believe he knew exactly what he was going to do. He was going to present and provide a rich and satisfying life. Watch this, verse 6. And this time their nets were so full of fish they began to tear. A shout for help brought their partners in the boat, and soon both boats were filled with fish on the verge of sinking. This isn't a leadership conference, but I want you to realize that it was Simon Peter's obedience that allowed other people to come. See, some people won't come until they see the fruit happening in your life. Some people won't come until they see the fruit happening in your life. You see, they saw the fruit, that fruit drew them in. The authenticity of Peter towards Jesus, the love that Peter had towards Jesus drew Jesus in, and the boat went out. But the other guy didn't care. The other boat owner wasn't willing to take Jesus out there. But when they saw the fruit of what Jesus could provide, Betsy, that's when everything radically changed. See, they went out there to then be a part of the blessing. Some of you are just in this seat right now, and you're going to be blessed just because you're sitting next to somebody who carries the anointing of Christ. When Simon Peter realized what had happened, he fell to his knees before Jesus and said, "Oh Lord, please leave me. I'm a sinful man." Can I be real with you? Sometimes how you define yourself will determine your own ability. How you define yourself will determine your own ability. Sometimes it's how you view yourself that's keeping you in bondage. It's how you view your current position that's keeping you in bondage. It's you waking up and feeling like, no, I'm just always going to be anxious. I'm just always going to be depressed. I'm just always going to be a bad mom. I'm just always going to be a bad employee. I'm just always going to be a bad husband. I just do everything right. If you say so, I'll try this, but it's not going to work because I've already done that before. I've already worked hard. I've already slaved. And you position yourself in bondage sitting right next to Jesus, who has the ability to set us free, all because we feel like we've already tried and it didn't work. Verse 9, he was awestruck by the number of fish they had caught, as were the others who were with him. His partners, James and John, son of Zebedee, were also amazed. Jesus replied to Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on, you'll be fishing for people." This is what we missed in Matthew and Mark. When you're reading Matthew and Mark, is Jesus calls out, "And I'm going to make you a fisher of men," and you missed the entire story of Peter's experience with Jesus, where he was so defeated and so tired, and as soon as they landed, they left everything and followed Jesus. Jesus came, according to John chapter 10, verse 10, to preach and to bring a rich and satisfying life. And many preachers talk about you having to live right so you can be blessed. And what I want you to realize is they just caught the biggest catch in the world and they leave it all behind to follow Jesus because they got a hold of a rich and satisfying life. And it wasn't anything of monetary value. It was no money. It wasn't the fish. It was a life with Jesus. Jesus brought a rich and satisfying life, and it didn't look like the world's definition.
That's so good.
A rich and satisfying life, but it wasn't a paycheck. That's hard. A rich and satisfying life, but it wasn't the house that you wanted to live in. A rich and satisfying life, but it wasn't the job that you wanted to be working. After one of the richest catch, he leaves everything and they follow Jesus. You might be here this morning and forgotten who you said yes to. I believe your faith is genuine. I believe your heart for the Lord is genuine. I believe sometimes because of tradition and routine, we forget who we're following and we lose focus on the essentials. Fast forward with me to John chapter 21. John chapter 21. I want to talk about you being tired and defeated and how you need to go deeper. Scratch a line through the title of my message if you say so, and let's just go ahead and call it Go Deeper. Go deeper. Later, Jesus appeared again to the disciples beside the Sea of Galilee. I get too excited sometimes, and I just want to preach on every little thing because he takes them right back to the moment of the first love and the first encounter. We're fast forward to John chapter 21. So what has already happened is he's been crucified. He's died. They experienced the death of Jesus. Jesus came back. They experienced a life that he is still alive and that he's bringing new life, but Jesus is leaving and he's not staying with them. And so they're out at sea is what's about to happen here. And later Jesus appeared against the disciples beside the Sea of Galilee. This is how it happened. Let me confirm John's position. Let me confirm what's happening here. Several of the disciples were there. In case you're curious, you can ask Peter, you can ask Thomas, you can ask Nathaniel, you can ask the sons of Zebedee, and two other disciples. Ask whoever you want to ask, but this is how it really happened. Simon Peter, verse 3, he said, "I'm going fishing." "We'll come too," they all said. So they went out in the boat and they caught nothing all night. To work hard and to see the lack of return will always be frustrating. Here they are. Now watch this, Bree. Pre-Jesus, working hard and no return, and tired and defeated. Post-Jesus, working hard, tired, defeated, and no return. somewhere along the line, you might have thought that your relationship with Christ was going to always be bubbles and cheerful Cheerios and snack time and everything is going to be great. But I'm telling you, you're going to feel defeated, you're going to feel depleted, and you're going to feel all alone. You're going to feel like Jesus is nowhere close by. Here they are. He goes out fishing and works hard for nothing. Here, several of the disciples are probably frustrated with one another. Frustrated like you just went on a long trip and you're frustrated because you're ready to get home, but you're stuck in the car for another 3 hours with babies that are screaming. Family that you love, but you're just, I'm ready for them to get out. They're ready to get to land. At dawn, Jesus was standing on the beach. The disciples couldn't see him. John chapter 21, verse 4. The disciples couldn't see who he was. He called out, "Fellas, have you caught any fish?" "No," they replied. Then he said, "Throw your net to the right side of the boat and you'll get some." So they did, and they couldn't haul in the net because there were so many fish. I love Jesus. Watch Jesus as he is providing for a need when they have already given up. Jesus providing for a need when they've already given up. They were already done. They didn't see any hope. They didn't see any point of working any harder. They were already done. And Jesus walks in and hollers their direction. You might have been on your last thread this week, and I want you to know Jesus sees you and is still pursuing to strengthen you.
Yeah.
You might have felt like this week was one of the hardest weeks. I'm here to tell you it's only going to get harder, and you're only going to have to go deeper. You're not alone. You're not making decisions alone. You feeling like Jesus is gone and not close, but he's standing at the shore, hollering your direction. He is still in your midst, calling your name. You might not always feel that he's close, but he'll never leave you. They had become so distant from Jesus physically that they couldn't even recognize who he was and who was speaking to them. And at the moment that Peter realized who he was, the Bible says that he put his clothes back on. Because like us men do when we working and there's nobody around, we let it all hang out. I mean, we're like stripping all the way down. We sweating. We're done. I mean, we're tired. We lucky we got something around our waist. I mean, we are tired and it's hot and it's just a bunch of bros. So Jesus hollers at him. Peter realizes him. This is verse 7. When Simon Peter heard that it was the Lord, he put on his tunic, his gown, for he had stripped for work. He jumped into the water. I don't know why he put clothes on to jump in the water. And he headed to the shore. Verse 8. The others stayed with a boat and pulled and loaded the net to the shore. There will be people who are closest to you that you'll be frustrated with. Welcome to my world. Because you will be so excited to chase after Jesus while other people are so excited for the benefit of being with Jesus. My heart as a pastor is so passionate about Jesus that even when things don't go my way, I'm running after Jesus. If I can get you to grasp that. To chase after him even when the kids are sick. To chase after him even when the parents pass away. To chase after him even when things aren't going your direction. To chase after him when you get the biggest paycheck from Biden and when you get absolutely nothing. To just chase after Jesus. When they got there, after running 100 yards or so, they show up and breakfast is waiting for them. That's powerful to me. Wednesday night, we looked at this. We looked at the coming to Jesus with your hope and your desire and the practicality of you just needing to be a good employee. Yeah, I remember that? It was chasing after the love of the Lord and then going to work the next day and living like you love the Lord. The practicality of sometimes you need to be served, and that's the heart of this church. Going to pick up donuts, going to buy a bunch of food, going to get coffee at 10 a.m. to spend some time with you. I'm not coming after you being late. I don't know who was late. I got a big screen. I can't see anybody. I sit down, I come up, and I see everybody. So you could have came in on time, you could have been late. I'm not coming after you. I'm just saying, when they got there, they found breakfast waiting for them, fish cooking over a charcoal fire, and some bread. What you need in life, simplicity, is Jesus and food. Your Sunday morning, 52 out of 365 should consist of Jesus and food. You wake up Sunday morning, before you get to church, before you get out of the bed, you should know two things. When are we leaving for church? And where are we going to go eat after? Your week will be great if you'll figure out where to go eat for lunch before you get to church. I know you might be tired. I know you might feel like you don't have what it takes all the time. What you need is to be fed by Jesus. What you need is to be fed by Jesus. Jesus feeds them spiritually, and he feeds them practically. Your Sunday morning, I want to feed you spiritually, and then I want you to leave to go be fed practically. Because it's too much money to feed everybody every week. Y'all stand with me. What you need is to be fed by Jesus, and that will only come by prioritizing him. I want to just do something real quick as we close.